The air hung heavy with the stench of sweat and fear. John, a man whose world had always been confined to a wheelchair, could feel it clinging to his skin. His once bright eyes, clouded by intellectual disabilities, darted around the cramped cell. He was a man condemned. His crime? A robbery gone wrong, a chaotic scene where his disability made him an easy scapegoat. Now he sat on death row, waiting for a sentence he barely understood. John's story is not unique. Across the globe, countless individuals with disabilities languish in prisons, many condemned to death. Their stories often remain untold, lost in a system that is as indifferent to their plight as it is to their disabilities. They are the unseen faces of death row, victims of a system that fails to recognize their vulnerability, their humanity. The death penalty, in its stark finality, leaves no room for error. Yet for those with disabilities, the risk of wrongful conviction is amplified. Their impairments often make it difficult for them to understand legal proceedings, effectively assist in their own defense, or communicate their experiences to a jury. They become easy targets, their disabilities mistaken for guilt, their silence misinterpreted as apathy. The precise number of disabled individuals on death row remains unknown, shrouded in a veil of silence and neglect. Research suggests that they are disproportionately represented, their vulnerabilities exacerbated by a system ill-equipped to accommodate their needs. Studies point to a disturbing trend. Individuals with intellectual disabilities are more likely to confess to crimes they didn't commit, often swayed by manipulative interrogation tactics or overwhelmed by the unfamiliar environment of a police interrogation room. Their disabilities, far from being mitigating factors, often become tools for the prosecution. Their struggles to communicate are painted as evidence of guilt, their anxieties mistaken for deception. In courtrooms that prioritize efficiency over empathy, their voices are silenced, their stories unheard. The presence of disabled individuals on death row exposes a chilling truth. Our justice system often operates with a blind eye towards the most vulnerable. Laws designed to protect the rights of the accused are often ill-equipped to address the unique challenges faced by individuals with disabilities. The Americans with Disabilities Act, while groundbreaking in its intent, offers little protection within the criminal justice system, where reasonable accommodations are often viewed as luxuries rather than necessities. The ethical implications are profound. The death penalty, even for the able-bodied, is a contentious issue. But when applied to individuals with disabilities, it becomes a tool of oppression, a punishment meted out not for the severity of the crime, but for the nature of their being. It is a violation of their fundamental human rights, a stark reminder of the distance we must still travel to achieve a just and equitable society. The time for silence is over. We can no longer afford to ignore the plight of disabled individuals trapped in the machinery of death row. This is not merely a legal issue, it is a moral imperative. We must demand better from our justice system, a system that recognizes the inherent dignity of every human life, regardless of ability or disability. We must push for comprehensive reforms, for specialized training for law enforcement and legal professionals, for increased access to qualified interpreters and advocates, and for a system that prioritizes rehabilitation over retribution, especially for those whose disabilities make them more susceptible to manipulation and coercion. Let us work towards a world where justice is not a privilege reserved for the few, but a right extended to all. Let us raise our voices, not in anger, but in hope, in the unwavering belief that a more just and compassionate world is possible.